That's what I'm doing.
Watch it off. It on mute. Beth Torah is live.
Shabbat Shalom and welcome to our service.
We're coming to you from our beautiful sanctuary. Our building is still closed to the public until further notice. As always, you can find links to our Siddur in the Facebook event for this service. In addition, a digital flip book. We have also created a prayer book packet for tonight. You can find the links to the PDFs in the comments for the service. And important information will appear in the comments during the service. And for that, we thank Dave Zucker and Riley Hendricksy for managing our streaming tonight.
And speaking of, just a reminder that if you have an immediate technical need, you can reach out to our digital docent, Riley Hendricksy, and she'll be putting her numbers in the comment there for you. So we can keep our comments to Shabbat-worthy topics and saying hello and checking in with each other. So reach out to Riley if your technical need is immediate. Otherwise, you can email us during the week.
If you are watching, please say hello by typing Shabbat Shalom in the comments line, and don't forget to hit return. Just a reminder about the page numbers. You may have two sets. We are calling the numbers in the square brackets. So go ahead and find Shabbat Evening Service, Roman numeral number 1, in your Mishkan Tfilah. Or if you're following the service on the PDF, just simply go to the first page of the package, and we're going to use all the pages. So once you're on the PDF, you can follow it along that way. Please, if you have any comments or suggestions about the service in any way, technical or otherwise, please send us an email, take some notes, and send it to us during the week, and we'll get to that. But don't put those comments in the comments line. So we will continue together now on page 120, which is the second page of our PDF, by lighting the Shabbat candles. If you are at home, have candles, please go ahead and light them.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu Shel Shabbat.
We continue welcoming Shabbat together on page 130 as we sing Lechu Neranena. Lecha, Lechu, they're all similar.
Lechu and then Lecha.
There you go. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena l'Adonai. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena l'Adonai. Naria, Naria, Letzuri Shenu, Lekadma Fana Vetoda. Naria, Naria, Letzuri Shenu, Mizmirot Naria Lo. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena l'Adonai. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena l'Adonai. We continue with Lecha Dodi on page 138. We will be singing together stanzas 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. This is live service. I mean, lecha lecha dodi.
We'll do that one.
No. I mean, oh, you mean the
Yeah.
time one? Oh, that one.
We'll just do this one.
Lecha dodi. Likerat nekabela. Lecha dodi. Likerat kala. B'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Likarat kala.
B'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Shamu v'zachor b'dibur echad. Ishmi'anu el hanichad Adonai echad u'shavu echad. Hashem oti v'red v'liti lal.
Lecha dodi. Likerat kala. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi. Likerat kala. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, קומיצה היא מתוך ההפכה, רב לשבת בעמק הבכה, מאור יחמול עליכם ללכה דודי, לקראת כלה, עיני שבת מקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, עיני שבת מקבלה.
Hitoreri, kiva ore kumi ori, uri shir taveri, kavod Adonai ala yichtiklal.
לך דודי, לקראת כלה, עיני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, עיני שבת נקבלה. והיולים שיסה שוסייך, ורחקו כל מבלייך, יסיס עלייך אלוהייך, כמסוס חתן על כלה לך דודי, לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Gam besimcha uvetzola, toch emunei am segula, boicha la boicha la.
דודי, לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
That's a little lesson in hubris, my friends. I had different music in front of me than I had intended on playing, and I thought in my head, well, we've sung it so many times, it won't matter if I'm looking at the wrong music, I know what I'm doing. Thank you for your grace and your patience, I appreciate it.
On page 147, we join together at the top of the page as we prepare for the recitation of the Shema, which will be on the next page on your PDF. But first, 147. There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings from the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nevarech, let us bless. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם,
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
אמת. We continue together on page 158 as we sing the words of the Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha nedar v'kodesh, Nora tehilot, osef elef, osef elef. בקודש נולד תהילות, אוסף אלף, אוסף אלף, אוסף אלף. On page 161, we join together at the top of the page. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai haporeh sukat shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai haporeh sukat shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo, ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai haporeh sukat shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo, shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo, shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. ושמעו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות Shabbat va'inav. We come to this moment in our service where we make it possible for all of you watching with us this evening to take some time to offer private prayers. You may choose to use the words on our Siddur, beginning on page 164 and through page 180. Offer also a private prayer and meditation at home with your loved ones or by yourself. We begin with Adonai Sefatai. I'm going to pray the Amidah silently, and we'll come back together for another prayer song after we conclude this section.
Stand and pray to the world. Step forward, let the blessings be sung. With my brothers and my sisters, I will open up my lips and praise. Adonai, please open my heart that I may say. Adonai Sfatai tiftachu fi agid tehilatecha. Adonai Sfatai tiftachu fi agid tehilatecha. Of my heart be acceptable before you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Oseh shalom bimromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. We now come to our moment for offering prayers for healing, and we have chosen
to include in our prayers for healing, healing for our nation, healing for all the things that are going on in our nation, for the systemic racism that we see still around us, and for all the suffering that that has brought to so many of our neighbors and friends. But as always, we offer our loved ones, friends, and relatives in need of healing, members of our congregation. You can access the list from our e-news, and you will also see in our comments. We invite you now to add comments, to the comments names that you would like to offer at this moment. Please go ahead and type.
We pray
For healing of the body, we pray for healing of the soul. We strengthen flesh and mind and spirit. We pray to those again who hold. El Navefana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha'nefesh, refuat ha'guf, refuat shelema. Heal us now.
Heal us now.
And as we offer prayers for healing, we also want to think of those who help in healing, all those who are first responders, who are helping with the healing of all those affected by the pandemic worldwide. May the one who blessed and led our forebears give countenance unto those who provide help for the ill and the troubled among us. May they be filled with fortitude and courage, endowed with sympathy and compassion, as they give strength to those at their side. May they fight against despair and continue to find within themselves the will to reach out to those in need. And in their love of others, may they feel the blessing of community and the blessing of renewed faith.
הושיע את עמך וברך את נחלתך וראם ונשם את העולם. מי שברך אבותינו, מי שברך אמותינו, אדוני הושיענה.
We go from healing to celebrate all the simchas of this past week. Joy, which may include your birthday, anniversary, good news and accomplishments of all and any kind. If you would like to share them, please do so by typing them in the comments line and hit enter. Just a few words. Today we are switching gears a little bit of the poems and pearls of wisdom that we share this time. And I have in my hands a brand new prayer book or resource book. It's called Mishkan Ga'ava, where pride dwells, a celebration of LGBTQ Jewish life and ritual. Just hot off the press. It's been out for about a week or so. I got my copy today. You can get it, I think, on Amazon, and you can also get the Kindle version of it.
That's right.
So I have been reading the Kindle version, but now I got my hard copy.
It's beautiful.
And I wanted to show it to you.
I have to get one.
It was put together by Rabbi Denise Egger, and there are hundreds of readings and prayers here. If you're interested in pick up a copy, we'll be using this, many of the texts from here on this Shabbat and the following Shabbats as we mark and celebrate Pride Month. So for today, I have a poem, excuse me, by Kevin Johnson, and this poem is found in the Sidur Shar Zahav, which is the Sidur of the congregation Shar Zahav in San Francisco, California, which was at one point one of the very few congregations in our nation, or in the world really, that had an LGBTQ outreach and acceptance. So it was important in the early days of the movement to have such a congregation. And they had created their own prayer book, and many of the prayers reflect concerns and ideas within the LGBTQ community. And this poem is called Rainbow, because the rainbow is a symbol of our diversity, and you'll see maybe around town. Oh, you can see it also in the logo of our congregation. You might have noticed that. So Kevin Johnson wrote this in 2009. Again, it's titled Rainbow. When I see a rainbow on, the flag flying from the lamppost, fluttering in the Pacific breeze, I know that God made a covenant between us. If we lived our lives in black and white, we would never see that promise that God made. To see all those colors together reminds me that God is there for you and me.
That's lovely.
We now gather all the simchas that you've shared with us, and we offer a prayer. Divine source of blessings, we thank you for everything that enriches our lives. We turn to you now with gratitude as we mark the happiness of those who have come forward for their birthdays, anniversaries, good news, and accomplishments. Adonai, be with them now and always. May they be blessed with health and happiness, and with the strength to overcome sickness and sorrow. And as we honor each one of you for the gifts that you continue to bring to our sacred community, we join together in song as we mark this sacred occasion. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. So many of you might be familiar with the blowing of the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. And if you are not, don't worry too much about it. All you need to know for right now is that there are only two musical instruments, if they could be called such a thing. Earlier today, Howard Pittler, who's joining us, and I didn't introduce earlier today, was telling us about the difference between, what was that? Between a bagpipe and a lawnmower. And apparently the difference is that you can tune a lawnmower.
Harsh.
So again, this is the same a little bit about calling a shofar a musical instrument. But it is true, there are only two musical instruments that play a role in a mitzvah, in a commandment according to the Torah. One is, of course, a shofar, which is a ram's horn of some denomination. And the other one is called, are you ready? Chatzotzrot, or chatzotzra is a singular, chatzotzrot. And when I teach Hebrew, I always say, if it doesn't hurt down around here, you're not saying it right. Chatzotzrot.
Chatzotzrot.
It's a type of silver trumpet.
Oh.
Now, I know it's quite a mouthful, but so is the name of this week's Torah portion, Beha'alotecha, when you set up.
It's a lot of letters.
Where God commands Moses to make two chatzotzrot. I bet you didn't know that. Or if you knew, you didn't pay attention. This is where the chatzotzrot come into play. In the context of the book of Bemidbar, Numbers, the Jews are now embarking on their journey towards the land of Israel. And the chatzotzrot, which I am going to continue pronouncing, I'm not going to translate, chatzotzrot, are used to summon the community to assemble, to move, to stop. So the chatzotzrot was sort of a way to, they were 600,000 plus people, so you really have to make a lot of noise to get their attention. The thing that we used to do at Beth Torah, clap 3 times if you can hear my voice, would not have worked at the encampment of the Israelites in the desert. So that's one use. But it doesn't end there. The chatzotzrot had another use according to the Torah in this week's Torah portion. It says, "V'chitavo milchama," when you are at war in your land, in the land of Israel, against an aggressor who attacks you, you shall sound short blasts on the trumpets of the chatzotzrot, that you may be remembered, v'nizkartem lifnei Adonai, that you may be remembered before Adonai your God, and be delivered from your enemies. So there, the chatzotzrot are not for the people to hear, but for God to hear and remember the people. The other verse continues, it says, and on joyous occasions, that one's the case of the war. Now here's the joyous occasions, your fixed festivals and new moon days, you shall sound the chatzotzrot over your burnt offerings and your sacrifices of well-being, and they shall be a reminder of you before your God. I, Adonai, am your God. Le zikaron lifnei Elohechem. I want to move away from the Rosh Hashanah connection, but there's a lot of connections here with Rosh Hashanah. It's not where I want to go, but since if you're hearing the Hebrew, you may have heard the word zikaron. And in the tradition, Rosh Hashanah has another name, and is Yom HaZikaron, name of remembrance. So according to the Talmud, this is where the rules of how to sound the shofar come from, for Rosh Hashanah.
Oh.
Though Rosh Hashanah is not mentioned here, and Howard, of course, is one of our Baal Tokea, so this is where you get it from. But Rosh Hashanah is a new moon. It's the new moon of the month of Tishrei. So it's kind of related. And Rosh Hashanah is not mentioned, and this is not about the shofar. I just gave you the whole explanation that this is actually about the chatzotzrot, All right, so that's Talmud for you. But no matter really at this point how the Talmud interpreted these verses, the Chatzotzot seem to have played a role in both stressful, like, you're being attacked, and in joyful occasions as well. So how is this possible? How could the same sound, the sound of this particular instrument, be both a warning for an imminent attack and a blast announcing a joyful celebration? I would find that a little confusing. But there is actually a distinction to be made, which I didn't explain, but it's there in the Hebrew, and you'll understand it in just a minute. Because I'm going to use some of the interpretations by Rabbi Shlomo Riskin on his commentary on the book of Bemidbar. And Rabbi Riskin teaches that the name itself connotes,
That's a weird word.
Tsa'ar, meaning pain, narrow straits, which is the same root of the word that we have the word for Egypt, Mitzrayim, the land which caused pain to the Jews. So perhaps the Chatzotzot themselves were thought of as a warning system. The name itself indicates that it is a distress call, in particular when they are sound, and here is the difference. There are two ways of saying sound the Chatzotzot in Hebrew. One is from the root for the word tru'ah.
Okay.
You know this again. There is connection to Rosh Hashanah, right? Tru'ah, boo, boo, boo. I forgot that we're going to get a half hour here, so we can demonstrate, all right? And the other one is tekiah.
I forgot the horn.
You forgot the horn.
You didn't say anything.
I didn't ask you to do it. No, we want to leave the shofar out for now. Apparently, so.
Mimed shofar, ladies and gentlemen.
So that's what I said at the very beginning. Don't worry too much about if you don't remember the shofar, because we were going to have a demonstration through the service. So the tru'ah is the one associated with the war. And then the tekiah is the other one. So let's delve a little deeper into this. So God knows that we have had our share of tru'ah in the last week of months. The sound of brokenness seems to be getting louder and louder. Not only the brokenness of our policing system all over the country, but also the brokenness of trust in some of our political leaders and their ability or willingness, in many cases, to have the good of all of us at heart. So if there is a sound that defines our time, I'm afraid it's the staggered, stressful call of tru'ah, like when the people felt that they were under attack in the desert. But, of course, as I just mentioned, the Torah also commands the Chatzotzot to be blow as a tekiah, a straight, exultant, expansive sound, Rabbi Riskin teaches, demonstrating that even within this world of imperfection, and perhaps emanating from our empowerment to rise above and overcome that pain and suffering, the very Chatzotzah can be employed to express a tekiah, a sound of joy, of well-being, of eventual perfection and redemption, end quote. So the tekiah calls us to bring out the best in us. We have heard that the pandemic has the potential to bring out the best and the worst in humanity, that it could expose our weaknesses as well as our strengths. So guided by the sound of the tekiah, we should be reminded of the best in all of us. Our common humanity, our common desire for safety and fairness and our common cause with those oppressed and discriminated against. It seems clear that the sound of Truah may not or could not be eliminated completely. At some level, the world is a place of brokenness, distrust, systemic racism, and deeply ingrained anti-Semitism. As Rabbi Riskin puts it, quote, "The very dual nature of life in the world wherein the sweet may emerge from the bitter, the honey as a byproduct of the bee's sting is expressed by the two interconnected sounds of the Chatzotzah, the Teruah and Tekiah, which emanate from the silvered trumpet," end quote. The peaceful protesters in the streets of the world's cities are sounding the Tekiah, no doubt. They are making authorities and people in positions of power listen. They are making all of us, indeed, hear the exultant blast for equal treatment and equal rights. The rights to live without fear when someone drives around town or goes jogging in our neighborhoods. Our call, our challenge, indeed, is for those among us who believe in the sweetness that can be found in the world to listen to the voices of Tekiah, and maybe even more, to join into making the Tekiah louder, to amplify the call of the Tekiah, echoing the words of the psalmist. Zamru l'Adonai bechatzotzot bekol shofar. Sing praises to Adonai with trumpets and the blast of the shofar. Rise, shout before Adonai, ki va lishpot haaretz, ishpot tevel betzedek, ve'amin ve'meisharim. For God is coming to rule the earth. God will rule the world justly and its people with equity. Have a Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We continue now with our moment of remembrance, and we keep the memory of George Floyd alive in our service throughout the recitation of Kaddish. But today also marks a moment in LGBTQ history. This was written by Rabbi Denise Eger in 2018, so that's 2 years ago. And I think it's self-explanatory, so I'm going to read it. This is the anniversary of the Pulse nightclub terror massacre. On June 12th, a madman entered a gay nightclub and murdered and maimed LGBTQ community members and friends. This was an act of terror. This was an act of mayhem. This was an act meant to intimidate and create fear. 49 precious souls died that night, scores of others injured, all of us scarred. Tonight we remember and recall the lives of those who merely wanted to dance the night away. Bless these precious souls whose lives were broken and cut short all too soon. We ask for their souls to be at peace and for their families, friends, and lovers to be healed of the broken hearts. Let their murder not be in vain. Let it be a lesson to each of us and to our nation that the fight for LGBTQ equality is not over. Let us not be complacent, thinking that we had won the day, for there is much work left to do. Bless those who need healing from their wounds, a healing of spirit and a healing of the body, and teach us, source of the universe, to be messengers in the world of justice, truth, love, 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 and love. V'nomar amen, and let us say amen.
Amen.
So we gather this evening. If you are joining us, and you are remembering loved ones as well, please add their names to our comments. We are observing the Shilshim period for the death of Bernie Barash, member of our congregation, Ruth Sains, mother and mother-in-law Howard and Gloria Pitzler, and CBT member Nancy Jonas Wilson. And on this Shabbat, we remember the following yortzites of members of our congregation: Simon Aronson, Leon Balo, Isabel Berman, Paul Brown, Madeline Capel Chapman, Mary Engelberg, Bertha Ruben Gary, Ruben Goldstein, Alan Buddy Goodman, Mel Hurwich, Norman Kahn, Roland Kahn, Gertrude Klinock, Harold Kozit, Julius Lerner, Bertrand Mann, Henrietta Moskowitz, Herbert Myron Rope, Molly Shapiro, Maurice Skickney, Jake Slade, Ellen Worthy. Zichronam livracha, may all the members continue to be a source of blessing for us all. On page 598, we join together as we recite Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. Itgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chiruteh ve'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon u'v'yamechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Israel, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'lam u'le'lemei alemaya, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דא אמירם בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה בחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום ממרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. A few announcements before we conclude our time together. We'd like to thank everyone who has joined us from our area and from around the world. Special thanks to Leslie Zucker and Howard Pittler for joining us and sharing with us their lovely music. And to Dave Zucker and Riley Hendricksy for managing our comments and our streaming. We will be back here tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for our morning service on Facebook Live. If you would like to join us for Torah study, Sichat Shabbat will be tomorrow at 9 a.m. on Zoom. See the Facebook event for more information. A reminder that Kansas City still has an urgent need for blood donors. Donating blood is a way to help save lives. Please visit our Facebook page for more information. And Leslie, a couple more.
I do have a couple more things. Song session Wednesday, 7 o'clock. If you've got some requests, drop them in the event, and I'll see what I can do. Been trying, but this has been very fun. Also, I don't know if you know this, it's Pride Month, and we are honoring our brothers and sisters and everybody that are in the LGBTQ community. So Pride Shabbat is on the 26th of June, and we would absolutely love you to share photos of your families. If you are a congregant if you're a congregant who is or has family involved in the LGBTQ community, we'd love for you to share your photographs with us, because we would like to celebrate you and just, I don't know, I'm just so excited about it. I'm so excited and we're also going to have a Havdalah that weekend so that we kind of bring this whole celebration to a close together as a community. Watch your e-news. There's going to be a lot of information in your e-news coming up. I think that is Oh, yes, and if you're not getting that e-news, email us and we can get it to you.
Thank you.
Now I'm done.
Finally, please check us out on Facebook, like our page, follow us, leave us comments about this service and other virtual events. Have a Shabbat Shalom and stay healthy out there and safe. Join us as we conclude our Shabbat worship together, singing Olam Chesed Ibaneh. It's at the very end of your PDF. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.